Today it's Furch Choose Your Own Adventure. We're going to look at 3 custom guitars from the great European manufacturer and tell you about some of the options to get the perfect guitar for you. So stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee with Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like our videos. If you want to support the channel, you can visit our spring store link below for custom swag and check out our podcast, the Fretboard Confessional, wherever you get your podcasts at. Of course, the best way to support the channel, if you can, is to purchase things from us. We always appreciate when you do. So, Furch, if you have followed this channel for a while, you know we're big fans of the brand. Coming out of the Czech Republic, they make phenomenal guitars, and they have a really robust custom program with probably one of the best configurators online, where you can go through and, bit by bit choose where you would like your own custom guitar. We've shown you some things in the past. Today, I wanted to kind of look at 3 different models that we have come in that are all custom, or as they call rainbow guitars that have come in from Furch, because this is kind of a choose your own adventure. There's really about 3 different ways that you could end up with what we would call a custom or rainbow model Furch. And so we want to talk about that today, and also at the same time show you some incredible guitars. The first one I'm going to start with is this Dreadnought Cutaway that is the result of it's kind of a limited edition model, but it's also part of their Backstage. So the first thing that we're going to look at are Backstage rainbow guitars. Backstage rainbow guitars are guitars that come out that are available for dealers. It's part of the Backstage program, which is when Cooper and I got to visit the factory in the Czech Republic last year. That was a Backstage event. So they invite dealers to their factory. They show you everything behind the scenes, and they also celebrate the company and celebrate all of their employees. It was one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. It was great to see a company really just invest so much and be so generous. It was funny while we were there, just as an aside, and I don't know how this matches with the rest of Europe, so I just want to kind of explain my experience. But the last day there, during the big thing, it was a party, not just for people who had come that were dealers, but for artists that were there and for all of their employees and their employees' family. And my wife, for a time, did event planning. She worked with a lot of caterers. And, if you've ever dealt with someone catering an event, it was you get this amount of food, this amount of plates for this amount of people, and that's it. And if you go over, it's X amount of dollars, for each one. And that was that was not all what we experienced. It was like this over-the-top generosity of food that literally went all day long, with all of these different stations and tents where they were just making amazing ice cream and teas and stews and fish and burgers and steak. And it didn't stop. It was just all day. There was no you get this many kind of plates thing that was going on with it. So anyways, it left a lasting impression with me, because I'd never experienced something like that before. So we had a really great time, and we were really impressed with their guitars, even more so than we already had been. At those events, they will put together very specific custom builds, and there are limited in quantity. You're allowed to purchase them, and so it's kind of, as far as limiteds go, one of the rarest limited pre-custom built things that you could get from Furch. You might compare it to like when a company does a NAMM limited, kind of like when Taylor does a Catch guitar. There's more of those in that particular case, but some of those are very limited in number. That's more like how this is. So let's talk about this particular guitar. It is a Backstage Rainbow DC LG. Yeah, we made a joke about it, that it might stand for large, but in this particular case, it stands for Alpine Spruce. Now, I don't know why they're using L instead of A to represent Alpine. I racked my brain about what spruce or what top versions might start with an A that they would use instead. Maybe it's something from a linguistic standpoint, but L is for Alpine Spruce. G in this particular case is for Madagascar Rosewood. And if you're familiar with the rosewoods, that might stand out to you, because this is a wood that has come and gone from certain manufacturers' custom programs or high-end authentic programs because of availability. It's a fantastic wood. This is a really nice piece. I like the sapwood. Not everyone does. If you don't like the sapwood, I totally get it. I like the contrast. And it doesn't affect the sound of the guitar. So I dig that look, particularly when it's book matched like this. It's bound in koa, which looks really nice, particularly down here on the end. By the way, there's no pickup in this. You'll just have a strap button. But the cool thing is if you take that out, you can put a pickup in. This also has a Madagascar rosewood bridge, Madagascar rosewood fretboard, kind of a herringbone border with abalone, and your tortoiseshell, faux tortoiseshell pickguard. Celtic knot inlay on the 12th fret, which I dig since I'm Scottish. And then the rest is blank. Now, some people struggle with that. I don't need position markers on the fretboard because I use the position markers on the side. And these are more traditional in this particular sense. They are dots instead of the linear position markers. But yeah, if you look at the side of the neck, you'll know where you are, regardless of what's on the front, if it's a vine or it's Celtic knot. I know everyone's a little bit different, but that's how I roll. You've got the three-piece neck with the CNR active in this guitar, so it does have the new neck joint that everybody's been asking about. We have guitars in stock, I should say, that have both. Pretty much everything that's coming in new at this point has the CNR active, but we have some older, really great models that are brand new that we kind of got recently that don't. And if you are curious or on the fence because it may or may not have CNR active, let me say, the previous neck joint was a really good neck joint that was bolt-on and was adjustable. You're just going to do it in 10 seconds. So if you like a guitar that doesn't have the CNR active, it's fine. Buy the guitar. It's a fantastic guitar. But all the new ones are getting CNR active in them. So this has the CNR active, which if you're not familiar will kind of adjust on its own and can be adjusted with a flexible driver on the fly in the guitar. We have a really nice Madagascar rosewood overlay. Very simple pickguard or headstock overlay with the Furch logo and what I like to call chrome toes. They are antique chrome go toes with ebony buttons. So it's a really beautiful guitar. I really like it a lot. We're going to listen to a demo of it. I'm going to tell you how I approached this guitar because it hit me in a particular way. Madagascar rosewood is a wonderful species of wood. It has really nice overtones, a ton of sustain, and this wonderful high end. And in a guitar like this, paired with this top, the notes are rounded very nicely and there's a ton of dynamic range. So with this guitar, purposefully, I'm trying to show you how much sustain, bloom the notes have, and how dynamic you can be with this model. So check it out. Okay, now we're going to take a different approach to getting a rainbow Furch, and that is getting your guitar that you have specified. So I mentioned if you go to the Furch website, you can go to Rainbow and there's a configurator and you can play around in there. And if you're not careful, you can add up a very expensive guitar very quickly. I think all of us around here have done that. And actually, I've done it both ways. How affordable could I make this, and how ridiculously expensive can I make this? There's a lot of options as you're going in there. You just want to pay attention to kind of what works with what. What body shapes come with bevels, which body shapes don't come with bevels. And there's I would say different pairings of woods and bindings work well. And you can also see a big array of the different inlay options. They have some really cool inlay options, like the Celtic knot we just saw and what this guitar has. But I will also tell you this. They showed us how they laser cut these inlays. And if you have an inlay in mind, we can work with them to get it custom made for you. And you don't have to be an amazing artist. It doesn't have to be a perfect rendering. If you have an idea that you want to work with, you really can get your own inlay made. And like a lot of things with Furch, it's surprisingly affordable to have a bespoke inlay put on your guitar for you. This one is not available, so if you go looking for this guitar on our website, you're not going to find it. This was a custom build for a customer of ours, and it represents what I'm talking about. They're going to have stuff from Backstage and other things we'll talk about, but you can imagine your own guitar. In this particular case, it's an OMC. So it's an OM body with a cutaway. It's got this beautiful wood and abalone rosette. And this is probably one of my favorite inlays. I forget what they call it. It's a style number, and I would prefer a name to it because I think it'd be more memorable. But it's kind of like a torch or something that's going up on there. Jet black ebony fingerboard and bridge. The top is alpine spruce again. You might see a theme there because it's often spec'd. We have very cool like black chrome or Cosmo chrome, I think they call them. 510 Goto tuners with the black buttons. A really nice headstock overlay there. Linear dot inlays. I think it's paddock or some other, or redwood of some kind for the binding, which really worked well. And then the back and sides are ziricote. Now, when you are picking a wood, one of the questions that comes up a lot is, can you pick out the piece that you want? The answer is no, at least not at this current time. So Furch's going to do their best to give you a really nice piece of wood that both has great looks to it, but also has a great sound to it, which I think often gets lost in the mix when a lot of people are shopping guitars. And I get it, we shop with our eyes first. But ziricote is one of my favorite woods. It always has this landscape grain, like Madagascar can, like Brazilian rosewood often does, where it looks kind of three-dimensional, like it's stacked on each other. And while it's not a true rosewood, it has a really wonderful rosewood sound to it. I've long said I don't have one yet. I would like to have a custom guitar made with ziricote. And we've done a bunch of Martin builds and Taylor builds with ziricote, so it's a lot of fun. But this is a really great guitar. This is a minor thing, but can I just shout out, they execute their clear pick guards really, really well. It's actually not an easy thing to do, and I've seen some great executions of a clear pick guard on guitars. I've seen some not so great executions of clear pick guard on guitars. Yairi and Furch probably do the best ones, in my opinion. So this also, being that it's new, has that CNR active. This was spec'd with an anthem by the customer, so you could have an anthem put in. You can have the element put in. I'm expecting at some point a hi-fi duet option may be available. So things are always going to be in flux. Keep that in mind. But if you have a dream, an idea, like you want a Grand Auditorium 8-string or 9-string Furch, in koa with a cedar top, that's available. And if you want to put a Pac-Man inlay on the headstock, you do you. We can make it happen. But this is a wonderful guitar. It's very responsive, so it's cool because you can play very lightly on this guitar and have it respond well. Check it out. Okay, so this last one I'm going to show you today is also a Backstage guitar. But the third option that you would typically see is not just Backstage, but a limited edition. So a lot of times kind of around NAMM or in line with Backstage events, Furch will do limited runs of things. We've had like yellow deluxe Malaysian Blackwood guitars that were limited editions. They were basically rainbow guitars, but weren't part of the Backstage rainbow one, so they were available in a higher quantity or supply. For the NAMM show, it wouldn't be surprising for them to have something that's available, that's new, that's come out, and a limited run of something to work alongside it. This is a pretty neat guitar because it represents a lot of things that I think are not as often seen from Furch, and so I really wanted to showcase it to you. It's a Grand Auditorium cutaway, so something that we see often. This one, in this particular case, the model number is GCLZ. So if you've been paying attention, L stands for Alpine. Yes, Alpine. And then Z is, again, one of my favorites. It's Ziricote. So you can see the contrasting sapwood. You can see the dark kind of spiderwebby lines that gives you that landscape grain like we saw on the other guitar. I really like this tonewood. And it's only available on a limited run, a Backstage or your own custom build. The top is Sitka spruce. It's got this wonderful burst, and this is actually pretty cool because they've come out with a recent series of guitars called Spectra, and those have all sorts of crazy kind of fade bursts. It's one of those things where with a lot of builders you don't usually see a lot of color like you would with like sunburst on a Gibson is pretty normal. But with Furch, it's less common, and so I really like to showcase it because they do a really great burst. Not every guitar company does a great burst. Can we say that? Or is everyone okay if I just say that some companies don't have enough gradation and it's too dark and too light, or there's weird colors that don't really work a lot of the time, in my opinion? This is a really great job. So they did a wonderful burst, kind of a reddish, cherry burst kind of thing. And then you've got your abalone border, which I think is offset really well when you do a burst. The wooden abalone rosette, ebony fingerboard and bridge. You do get the linear dots combined with this really kind of traditional looking mother of pearl block inlay on that ebony fingerboard. So the wonderful bound board with that inlay is very cool and classic looking. Very nice headstock, and then antique gold chrome or gold go-toes, ebony buttons. This is a killer guitar. This one also doesn't have a pickup, so you can pick one. In fact, we install tons of pickups. If you're ever looking for something and you're like, oh, it doesn't have a pickup, just know we have a very, very talented luthier, Casey Jones. Yes, that's his name. And he does good work. We can get any variety of pickups installed for you. We do it on a regular basis. Even if it's kind of a difficult install, Casey's able to manage that very, very well. So if you wanted to buy this guitar and you wanted to put an Element or an Anthem or a hi-fi duet or a K&K or something for Fishman or what have you, we can accommodate that for you. And it would turn out great. By the way, clear pickguard. Can you tell? It's like near impossible, right? Very, very cool. So with this being Sitka spruce, different response from Alpine, a little bit more woodiness to it, I think. And paired with the Ziricote, there's, again, a lot of sustained overtones, nice strong bass, nice chiminess to it, not quite as scooped of a mid-range as traditional like East Indian Rosewood would be, and it plays really well, so check it out. So there you have it. Beautiful guitars, really cool process that you can do. Now, how does this compare and contrast, since we're finishing up here, with what other manufacturers offer? So it's not uncommon for there to be pre-made custom guitars from various companies, particularly that come out around NAMM. We often show you those things, around January, February, March, May, because NAMM stands for not available, maybe May, when we get the guitars that we ordered at these events. But that's definitely a time of the year when you'll see stuff. A lot of companies will also do things kind of throughout the year, and we are prone to making exclusive models with a lot of these companies. So you'll often see pre-made custom built guitars. How does it compare to some of the other guitar companies as far as the offering? I think that their online builder is probably one of the best ways to build a guitar. Martin also has a really cool online configurator. There's not a whole lot out there other than that. In electric guitars, Fender's tried the Mod Shop, where it's, there's some options. The question really is like how dense those options are. For instance, I would argue that Martin probably has the biggest wealth of options of what you can do to a guitar, and it can get expensive extremely rapidly. A lot of custom programs are continuing to develop, but Furch seems to have a really, really good balance of a ton of options that are available and a lot of flexibility, even if they don't necessarily let you kind of have the choice of wood. And by the way, that's not necessarily uncommon. It's very difficult a lot of times to hand select wood on a guitar, and there's also never a guarantee that what you picked will survive the process. Things crack, break, what have you. So I'm impressed with their process. I've gone through personally a number of custom builds, and we've done countless ones for customers. And it's really cool to see what you can do and the flexibility that they do have with things like 8-string, 9-string, baritone guitars. I would like to see, Furch, if you're watching, short scale available outside of like the 24-inch one that you see in the Pioneers, but like a 24.9 or 24.3 quarter. It's something we get a lot of call for, and something that's not currently available. So I'd like to see that. But double O's, you can do OMs. The Grand Auditorium and the Dreadnought body gives you a lot of choice in there, and a ton of tonewoods. And this is probably one of the biggest thing. Tonewoods like this with the Madagascar rosewood that we're seeing a lot of manufacturers say is no longer available. So I'm continually impressed by them. I will confess I don't have one yet, and it's mostly because I'm trying. It's analysis paralysis. I'm trying to decide what I want, and there's a lot to choose from. So, if you are looking to get a custom Furch, whether it's something that's pre-made or choose your own adventure, go down your own path with one, we can help you with that. So hit us up online at alamomusic.com. You can message us, and we can help guide you through the process with this and any other manufacturer for that matter. If you're new to our channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, comment, let me know what you thought about these guitars below, and we'll see you next time.